y'all, it's Kim again. So this is the report that Detective Zaki Hazou put together concerning Mackenzie Shirilla's total investigation. I mean, it's pretty thorough. I mean, he's interviewed so many witnesses. He's gotten the Toyota Camry EDR report. I mean, he's got a lot of character witnesses, friends, family, mostly friends, but people that knew Dominic and Mackenzie and their relationship, and some are saying they did fight, some say they didn't fight. It's just like back and forth. But if you haven't heard, she's filed some type of motion to get a new trial. I'll go do that later, but I want to finish this report just because we're almost there. I may try to get through this 30 pages, whatever, 32 pages, and be done with this one. And then I don't know if y'all seen the Netflix documentary for the Idaho murders. Oh my goodness, that is so scary just because it seems so random, like he didn't know them. I saw somebody else say that he was actually targeting Maddie, but at the same time, I don't know that. I want to just look into the case. He's also trying to get a new trial. And I mean, he didn't even have a trial in the beginning, I don't think. I think he just did a plea deal. And then the parents got to go in there and just basically give a victim impact statement. So I'm looking at all these things. I mean, my gosh, I don't know what's going on in our world where people just have no value for human life. But I mean, it's just pretty bad. I mean, I have my suspicions and it's more of a religious thing, but I won't even go into it. But I'll just leave it there. But here we are. Let's go with this report. I mean, think what you will about the religious aspect of it, but I think there's a problem. So let's go on. October 3rd, 2022, 11:05, Detective Glover and I went to David Tyler Proctor's residence. At that address for a knock and talk, we knocked several times, but no one answered. Now, Tyler Proctor was one of Mackenzie's ex-boyfriends. His mom even said that she pretty much floated between three boyfriends during the time she was with Dominic or something like that, and Tyler, maybe around 10th, 11th grade. Just saying. I mean, I've already looked at all this other stuff. At basically 2:02, I received a reply to my email from OSP Sergeant Fox on September 27, 2022, in which I requested a status update on his report. Sergeant Fox replied, stating he was running behind and that it will be a while before he can have the EDR analysis ready. At 2:33, I emailed Parma Heights PD Captain Tanya Zak, inquiring whether her team, the Southwest Crash Investigation Group, will be able to analyze the EDR data. Captain Zak immediately replied, stating her team will be able to do the job at no cost to SPD. She said she can have it ready by the first week of November. October 5th, 2022, 3:56, I replied to OSP Sergeant Fox asking him to recommend another party to review the EDR data. On August 5th, 2022, when he downloaded and emailed the raw EDR data to Detective Lieutenant Mason, he said he would have his report ready in approximately a month. Given how much time had passed since his original email, I sought a second party to review and analyze the EDR data. 5:21, Sergeant Fox replied, requesting the files and videos from the incident. It is worthy to note that I'd already emailed him all of the files pertaining to his portion of the investigation on August 8th, 2022 and August 12th, 2022. 12:03, I called PTO Michael Gamini, I don't know, number 7170 back. He had called earlier in the day, but I was unable to answer. Gamini wanted to make me aware of two incidents that occurred on October 4th, 2022, whereby SPD officers had to deal with Mackenzie, reference CAD number 22114448 and 22114461. At the time of this entry, patrol officers were still working on the case. Although I will not get directly involved, I will include the reports of the incident in the case jacket. 12:18, Scott Flanagan emailed information about a rumor I heard from Deanna Foss night pertaining to Divine Flanagan having attended Dominic Russo's birthday party, where she ran into Mackenzie and the two of them talked. Scott wrote in his email, I spoke with Divine and she dispelled that rumor as she hasn't been attending any parties due to her intensive outpatient therapy work and her boyfriend. So I think they're talking about here Mackenzie not attending anything, but there's obviously pictures of her doing stuff. Um, so at 2:31, I spoke with Detective Glover about the recent incidents involving Mackenzie and the alleged threats she was receiving. Detective Glover informed me that he was contacted by Christine Russo, who reported that the reason Landon Turner was not talking to us was because Mackenzie and her mother threatened Landon that if he spoke to police, he would no longer remain on Marietta's college football team. The next day, Christine confirmed the person who was threatened was in fact Tyler Proctor, not Landon Turner. Okay, October 6th, 2022. I mean, this is pretty thorough investigation, I think. Anyway, let's go on. 9:43. I called the athletic department at Marietta College at that number. After identifying myself to the receptionist, I asked to speak with a person with authorization to address matters with a current football player. The receptionist first suggested the head football coach. I asked someone with authority over the football coach, so she suggested the athletic director, Larry Heiser. Heiser was on the phone, so the receptionist collected my contact information in the name of Landon Turner, whom I called about and said she will have Heiser return my call. 9:57. I received a call from Marietta College Chief of Police, Jim Weaver. Chief Weaver was calling on behalf of Athletic Director Heiser. I explained to Chief Weaver the case I was investigating and the allegations from Christine Russo that Landon Turner was being threatened by Mackenzie Shirilla and her mother, Natalie. Chief Weaver stated he will find Landon and call me back. Chief Weaver called me back. He said MCPD officer spoke with Landon. He denied being threatened by anyone and added that he did not want to talk to me about the case. According to Chief Weaver, Landon told him he was at the top of the chain and he was not afraid. The audio recording of my phone call with the chief was digitally attached to this report. At 10:49, I returned a call from APA Troop. He expressed the importance of accessing the data on Dominic's cell phone, especially considering the fact that he texted some family members and friends hours before the crash. And if you ever saw that video where they're turning the corner onto that street right before the accident, the phone is lit up. So it makes you wonder what or who was texting what at that point, or what was going on the phone. Anyway, this is like just I saw it recently on one of the videos when I was watching. So at 10:49, I returned a call from APA Troop. He expressed him. Okay, so we already said that. 12:15, Detective Glover handed me a manila folder containing 6 pages of call logs from Verizon Wireless for an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And there's the phone number belonging to Dominic Russo. The activity dates from July 11th, 2022 until July 30th, 2022. The billing cycle shows July 11th, 2022 until August 10th, 2022. According to Detective Glover, Christine Russo will provide text message contents from the same phone once she's able to obtain them from Verizon, and the call logs were enclosed in the case jacket under the miscellaneous tab. So lab results, Mackenzie's blood from July 30th, 1st, 2022, and this is 153. So Detective Glover received the toxicology results from CCMEO. The PDF copy was digitally attached to the network folder, and hard copy was placed or was enclosed in the case jacket. In short, the vial tested was collected on July 31st, 2022 at 8:13 hours, so 8:13 in the morning. The specimen was sent to a reference laboratory for further analysis. The following are the primary or preliminary results from CCM office. Positive for 11-OH, Delta 9 THC, 4.6. I don't know what this NG means, but this is milliliters, and then positive for Delta 9 THC, COOH 34, NG for per, I guess, milliliter, and then positive for Delta 9 THC, 10 NG ml. Okay, Christine Russo signs consent to search Dominic's cell phone. Detective Glover and I met with Christine Russo in front of our police station. We conveyed to her APA troops' wish about accessing her son's phone. We asked for her consent to access the phone. Russo agreed and voluntarily signed the consent to search phone form. Prior to signing, however, she explained that the phone contains information pertinent to other clients, and Detective Glover and I assured her that after a third party extracts the data from the phone, everything will be turned over to a federal agent who is unaffiliated with this investigation to sort out all of the detail on the phone and turn over what is pertinent to our investigation. Refer to Detective Glover's investigation. During the conversation, Russo clarified two things. After our interview with Angelo, she spoke with Christopher Hinch Martin about the highway incidents. She sought to clarify whether Mackenzie and Dominic were involved in one or two altercations on the roadway. Hinch told her it was one incident. The person who was threatened for talking to the police was Yusni and not Landon Turner. That's Yusni Hamad. He was also threatened by Steve, saying that if you threaten my daughter or bother her again, you won't live to see another day or something like that. It's stupid in front of the cops. There's a video of that. At 1600 or 4 o'clock, data from Mackenzie's Pinterest search warrant. On October 5th, 2022, Pinterest Inc. complied with the September 29th, 2022 search warrant. The document was 27 pages long. The following is a summary of my observations. Mackenzie created the account Baby Kush on July 20th, 2018 using the email account mshirilla66 at gmail.com. Her most recent login was May 26, 2022 from her iPhone, and the first 20 pages listed other users following Mackenzie's account. Nothing pertaining to the investigation was found in Mackenzie's Pinterest account. October 7th, 2022, 12 o'clock, I called Scott Flanagan and provided him with an update on the case. Excuse me. At 12:45, Detective Glover and I dropped off Dominic's cell phone at the DEA's Cleveland District Office for analysis. The phone was handed over to Agent Jesse Bynum. A receipt was issued, signed, and handed to me, and a hard copy was enclosed in the case jacket, and a digital copy was digitally uploaded to the network folder. At 2 o'clock, Detective Glover handed me a copy of the secondary toxicology report. The report was completed by NMA Labs in Pennsylvania. Other than the findings of the CCME, additional examination of the specimens submitted by CCME did not reveal any positive findings of toxicological significance. October 8, 2022, 8:06, I forwarded both toxicology reports to Strongsville PD Sergeant Jeffrey Steving, number 7160. Steving is a certified drug recognition expert, or DRE number 25045, and a standardized field sobriety test instructor. Sergeant Steving is expected to review, analyze, and generate a report of his interpretation of both toxicology reports. 1044, Landon Turner's mother, Crystal Arndt Turner, redacted, left me a voicemail. She was upset because Marietta College went to her son's dorm room to question him. October 10th, 2022, 8:02, I called Crystal back. She said her son was dealing with survivor's guilt and was reportedly self-harming. She was upset that police kept attempting to contact her son. I explained to her that although her son was not obligated to talk to me about the crash, I was investigating whether witness intimidation had taken place. I offered to put Crystal in direct contact with the APA troop. She agreed and provided me her email address to send the information to. And there's that. 9 o'clock, I emailed Crystal APA troops contact information so she can contact him directly. 9:38, Detective Lieutenant Mason called OSP Sergeant Fox to further discuss his report regarding the EDR. Sergeant Fox reportedly requested more documents: OH1, OH2, forensic report, and the video surveillance of the crash. I attached the requested material onto a thumb drive and handed it to Detective Lieutenant Mason, who hand delivered it to Sergeant Fox. 11:48, Detective Glover called Christine Russo back after she had texted him about information she wanted to let him know about. According to Russo, Jamie Baker, an employee of Ohio Business Machines, or OBM, who is also a bartender at Pomeroy House Restaurant in Strongsville, reported a conversation with an employee of Russo's law firm by the name Jennifer. Baker mentioned to Jennifer that employees at Pomeroy were talking about how this crash was a result of Mackenzie intentionally driving the car into a wall after an altercation with Dominic. Detective Glover followed up on this information, was unable to confirm the validity, veracity, or the source and content of the information. I mean, that's why I say I want to know what was on that, that text message. Hold on. No. He's gonna have to wait a minute. So let's see. I just want to take a picture of this. Okay, hold on. Let me pause this for a minute. I'll be back. Okay, back to this. So October 11, 2022, 7:45, the Metro Health Police Sergeant story. PTL Galassi, I think he was the first one on the scene, number 7157, and his trainee, PTL, I think that means patrol, Zelensky, number 7151, reported an incident that occurred while they were handling a follow-up to an unrelated call at Metro Health ER. The CAD number 22116905. According to both officers, Metro Health Police Sergeant Adam Doyle asked them about the status of this investigation. Sergeant Doyle further added that during Mackenzie's stay at Metro Health, her father told Sergeant Doyle that Mackenzie intentionally drove her car into the building in an attempt to take, right there, these parts. Sergeant, because if I say it out loud, they'll probably try to ding me or try to say I need help. I'm just saying, I've had that pop up before. So Sergeant Doyle's statement was not documented in the only MHPD report I was able to obtain involving Mackenzie. I just want to take a picture of this. Okay. So let's see here. Was not documented. Okay, so it wasn't documented. Just want to make sure. At 6:52, I called Metro Health Police Department at that number and asked the dispatcher to put me in contact with the sergeant who is dealing with Patrol Galassi and Patrol Zelensky in the ER around 5 o'clock or 500 hours. The dispatcher stated the sergeant was currently off duty, but identified him as Adam Doyle, badge number 3. The dispatcher then transferred me to a different supervisor who identified himself as Sergeant Starr. I explained to Sergeant Starr that I needed to speak with Sergeant Doyle. He stated Sergeant Doyle works the night shift and will be back on duty on October 11, 2022 at approximately 6:30. He also provided me Sergeant Doyle's email address. So at 12:04, I emailed Metro Health Police Sergeant Doyle at that email requesting detailed documentation outlining his encounter with Steve Shirilla. 12:40, after receiving a missed call from Sergeant Doyle, I called him back at redacted. He confirmed the encounter with Steve Shirilla took place on August 6, 2022 at approximately 6:49 hours when MHPD officers were dispatched to Mackenzie's room. number 715 because she was being combative. MHPD CAD number 22031-787. Sergeant Doyle said Steve Shirilla wanted his daughter to be psychologically evaluated. He explained that no report of the incident was generated because the officers did not use force and the incident did not qualify as a major disturbance, warranting further documentation. I asked Sergeant Doyle to reply to the email I sent and to provide a detailed statement of the encounter. Sergeant Doyle seemed reluctant to get involved, and the information he provided was not clear and concise. I also asked him to pass my contact information along to the other officer listed on MHPD's CAD call for service report, badge number 77. He said he will. I just want to. So the guy's providing the information, but yeah, he's reluctant to give all the details. He didn't want to get involved. What is that nonsense? Okay. Okay. At 123, I emailed Snapchat's law enforcement contact requesting an update on the status of the search warrant results from Davian's Snapchat account. Sorry, my lips get chapped doing all this. At 2:10, I called Deanna Fosnight, David Tyler Proctor's mother, to follow up with her on information provided by Christine Russo about Tyler being threatened by Mackenzie and her mother. Should he cooperate with the investigation? Deanna did not answer. I was unable to leave her a voicemail because her voicemail was not set up. Okay, so at like 3:22, I received a phone call from APA Troop. He told me he had talked to Crystal Turner, Landon's mother, and she agreed to let me interview him. She requested that the interview take place on Friday at 1 o'clock or 1300 hours in order to accommodate Landon's football practice. At 4:12, I asked Patrol Galassi and Patrol Zelensky to provide me with signed statements about their encounter with MHPD Sergeant Doyle and the contents of the conversation. Given the differing accounts of the contents of the conversation between the three officers, I opted to have all three of their statements in writing. Okay, October 12, 2022, 7:45, DRE. Hold on. DRE memorandum number 1. SPD Sergeant Jeffrey Steving, number 7160, provided me a memorandum outlining his interpretation of the toxicology results. Given his experience as a drug recognition expert, he suggested we focus on the Delta 9 THC level to support a charge of OVI under RC 4511.19A1A, operating a vehicle under the influence, alcohol or drugs of abuse, or a combination of them, and RC 4511.19 A1A, A1J V2, I don't know, OVI above the per se level of marijuana of 2 ng per milliliter in someone's whole blood serum, or plasma. Mackenzie's level was reported to be a 10. I don't know what that ng means. Let me look. I'm just gonna Google it really quick. Google, what is ng? Is ng in blood? One medical term. Oh, no, that's not it. In blood work. Probably phlebotomy, but we'll just put blood work. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's a nanogram per milliliter. That's what that means. The ng is a nanogram. So it's like a little tiny, tiny thing. Anyway, so at 7:45, Sergeant Steving also gave me a supplement signed by Patrolman Galassi detailing his encounter with MHPD Sergeant Doyle. According to Patrolman Galassi's statement, Sergeant Doyle first inquired whether the SPD officers were wearing body cameras and whether the cameras were recording. When told they were not, Sergeant Doyle proceeded to recount the incident with Steve Shirilla on the day Mackenzie was trying to leave the hospital, presumably to attend Dominic's funeral. Patrolman Galassi wrote that Sergeant Doyle stated Mr. Shirilla stated to him that they had to keep her or Mackenzie in the hospital because she already tried to kill herself and killed those two boys. Let's see here. So if you have like three people saying something, probably true. Just saying. Okay, so at 1:26, Snapchat provided the data from Damien's Snapchat pursuant to the search warrant. Upon reviewing messages and media content from the morning of the crash and the night of July 30th, 2022, I did not find anything on the phone pertaining to the events that might have taken place inside the vehicle from the time it left Brushwood Lane until the crash. So at 7:56, statement Metro Health Sergeant, Police Sergeant Doyle, MHPD Sergeant Adam Doyle emailed me the following statement, which I digitally uploaded to the network folder. On August 13th, 2022, approximately 6:49 hours, officers were dispatched to 7A for a disturbance of a coming from Mackenzie Shirilla room. This is all messed up. Okay, when officers arrived, Mackenzie was upset with her dad and wanted him out of the room at the time officers spoke. Mr. Shirilla, hold on, this is crazy. It's like there's no real punctuation here. So Mr. Shirilla out in the hallway. Hold on, I've got to restart this. Okay, so on August 13th, 2022, approximately 6:49 hours, officers were dispatched to 7A for a disturbance of it shouldn't be this A here. For a disturbance coming from Mackenzie Shirilla's room, period. When officers arrived, Mackenzie was upset with her dad and wanted him out of the room at that time. Hold on, out of the room, period, I think. At that time, officers spoke to Mr. Shirilla out in the hallway, and he was visibly upset and cried at his daughter and proceeded to tell us she was in a crash that two of her friends died in. He didn't state how the crash occurred, or did I ask. I was just trying to get him to calm down. At one point in our conversation, he stated he thinks his daughter needed a psych evaluation because she wasn't making sound decisions because she wanted to leave the hospital and go to her friend's funeral. I had him sit in the waiting area to calm down, and that was the end of my interaction with Mr. Shirilla. So they said one thing, and then, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. I just want to take pictures. That's okay. I won't mess with that. I've got, I think, enough pictures of this. Okay, so October 13th, 2022, 7:50, Patrolman Zielinski, number 7151, completed a signed supplemental statement about his interaction with MHPD Sergeant Doyle. According to his statement, prior to conversing with Patrolman Galassi and Patrolman Zielinski, Sergeant Doyle inquired whether their body cams were running. When they told they were not, Sergeant Doyle proceeded to tell them about an incident with Steve Shirilla on the day Mackenzie attempted to leave the hospital. According to PTL or Patrolman Zielinski's statement, Sergeant Doyle said, Dad, Steve Shirilla, was telling Metro Police they had to keep their daughter at the hospital and should not allow her to leave because she tried to harm herself and just killed her friend and or boyfriend and friend. Okay. So 755 DRE memorandum number 2. SPD Sergeant Steving number 7160 left me a second follow-up memorandum to the first one he gave me on October 12th, 2022. Sergeant Steving said he reached out to a friend and colleague, Joseph O. Jones, a forensic toxicologist, consultant, and crime laboratory director for the North Louisiana Crime Laboratory in Shreveport, Louisiana. In short, Jones said there were currently no levels of THC or any other, or any of its metabolites, which determines the degree to which an individual is impaired, and that the reported drugs impair the brain, not the blood. Both memorandums by Sergeant Steving were digitally uploaded to the network folder, and the original copies were enclosed in the case jacket. 759, given the discrepancy in the statement MHPD Sergeant Doyle provided compared to the statements by Patrolman Galassi and hold on, dang it, Galassi, I guess, and Patrolman Zelensky, I emailed Sergeant Doyle requesting a formal interview. I also urged him to advise his chain of command of his involvement in this investigation. 11 o'clock, I met with APA Tim Troop and Evan McNair. I don't know, Evan or Even. I updated them on the status of the investigation and provided them with a hard drive containing the contents. Good grief. Containing the contents of my network folder. Sorry. APA McNair emailed me a grand jury subpoena to be serviced in person to David Tyler Proctor. At 1:04, I called Proctor. He did not answer, and I was unable to leave a message because his email was not set up. At 1:05, I called Proctor's mother, Deanna Frost Knight. She did not answer, and I was unable to leave her a voicemail because her mailbox was not set up. At 1:16, I emailed Deanna Frost Knight at that email requesting assistance in locating her son in order to serve him the grand jury subpoena. And then 2:02, Detective Glover forwarded a text message to me sent to him by Christine Russo. Mackenzie had texted her about wanting access to Dominic's bedroom. And then at 2:40, I arrived at Proctor's resident or register address in Strongsville in order to conduct a knock and talk. I knocked several times, but no one answered. And then at 3:13, after running a TLO search on Proctor, the most recent address listed for him was that one in Strongsville. I arrived at the address, and after knocking, the homeowner, David Nottingham, came out. He initially denied knowing Proctor, but confirmed receiving mail addressed to Proctor at this residence. He then went back inside to ask his unidentified neighbor or nephew, AJ, if he knew who Proctor was. Shortly thereafter, Nottingham returned and confirmed that Proctor had been staying at his house with his nephew. I explained to Nottingham that I need to serve Proctor with a grand jury subpoena. He told me to come back in the evening after Proctor returns from work. According to Nottingham, Proctor just purchased a new blue or green vehicle with the license plate in the back window, and no other details were provided. Let's look at this text message. Okay, so this says, Kinsey, I'm really stressed out about people moving my things or making it look different than it was when Dom lived there. Lived there. My top priority is just being able to go inside of that house and just be there for the day. It hurts that everybody but me is allowed in the house. It already hurts seeing all of his friends there at night spending time with you, but it hurts even worse seeing I'm the only one not allowed in his house that I spent the most time in. And then she just said, nothing's being touched. We don't know that for sure. I need to get in there for multiple things that I have in there. I don't know why I'm not trusted to be in the house. I spent 90% of my time and slept that every night. Probably because they're done with you, lady. I mean, it's the crash itself would just be horrible enough. And then to find out and be convicted of those boys' murders. Yeah, I wouldn't trust you in the house either. So let's go on. Keep going. Okay. So hold up. Dang it. Sorry. Let's see. So this is 420 grand jury subpoena served at David Tyler Proctor. David Proctor came to the police station where I served him the grand jury subpoena. I explained to him that he needed to contact APA troop on the phone number listed on the subpoena. He indicated his willingness to be interviewed by me in lieu of appearing before the grand jury. I gave him my business card and urged him to contact the prosecutor and to contact me directly when he's ready to be interviewed prior to November 10th, 2022. So, October 14th, 2022, 8:11, autopsy result, autopsy report. Dominic Russo, Melanie Shabazz, case manager at the CCME office, emailed me Dominic Russo's medical examiner's report. The autopsy was conducted by Dr. Thomas Gilson on August 1st, 2022, at approximately 6:07 hours. The cause of death was listed as blunt force impacts to head, trunk, and extremities with skeletal, visceral, and soft tissue injuries. The PDF version of the report was digitally uploaded to the network folder titled Dominic Russo. 824 autopsy report. Davion Flanagan, Melanie Shabazz emailed me Davion Flanagan's medical examiner's report. The autopsy was conducted by Thomas Gilson on August 1st, 2022 at 6:07 or approximately 6:07 hours. The cause of death was listed as multiple blunt force injuries. The PDF version of the report was digitally uploaded to the network folder titled Davion Flanagan. 844, I emailed APA's Troop and McNair the autopsy reports and two text messages that Mackenzie sent Christine Russo. Russo had voluntarily provided them to Detective Glover. 9:15, I reviewed contents of Davion's Snapchat account for a second time. I specifically checked recordings and messages from the night of July 30th, 2022. Nothing pertaining to the party at the Burlinghouse residence or the drive preceding the crash was documented. The application Life 360 showed Davion's phone being active at the time of the crash. It has been established that he used his phone to comment on a photo sent to him by Tyler Croy on July 31st, 2022 at approximately 5:30 hours. 10:12, acting on a request from APA Troop, I obtained a subpoena from the Berea Municipal Court for the phone number used by Mackenzie. Anyway, 11:50, I emailed the subpoena to AT&T's law enforcement email. 1 minute later, I received an automated reply from the AT&T Global Legal Demand Center confirming having received my email. October 21st, 2022, at 12:55 interview, Landon Bubba Turner, Detective Glover, and I met with Landon Turner and his father, Michael, at the Marietta College Police Department, 127 and a half North 7th Street in Marietta, Ohio. I've been there. The 57-minute long interview took place in a private interview room provided by the hosting agency and was audio recorded on my body-worn camera. The main purpose of the interview was to shed light on Davion Flanagan. Landon first met Davion in elementary school, and as they both progressed through the school system, they got closer and got to know each other well. In high school, the two of them were teammates on the Strongsville High School football team. Landon described Davion as a brother and one of his best friends. Given information previously provided by the Flanagans about Davion having lived with Landon for approximately 2 weeks during their senior year of high school, I asked Landon to shed light on the circumstances that led to the move. According to Landon, Davion approached him asking to stay with him for a week. Upon moving in, Davion ended up staying longer. The cause of the move had to do with internal issues between Davian and his parents. According to Landon, the story Davian had told him prior to moving in and the one he discovered after Davian moved out were not the same. The difference in the stories did not pertain to the investigation. I inquire whether Landon and Tyler Proctor were victims of witness intimidation as previously reported. Landon denied being threatened by anyone, whether over text or in person. According to him, Tyler Proctor and Ahmad Yusni were likely the ones who were threatening and intimidating Mackenzie and others because of messages they sent using social media platforms and unsubstantiated allegations of tampering with Mackenzie's vehicles. What? Landon confirmed that Tyler Proctor had been trying to reach out to him, but Landon has refused to communicate with him. When asked about David and Dominic Russo, Landon explained their relationship had to do with the fact that Dominic had a recording studio in his house and David was interested in making music. Landon believed that that was the reason David ended up living with and hanging out with Dominic. Next, I asked about how Davion ended up at the residence of Paul Burlinghouse on the eve of the crash. Landon explained that Davion had spent all day with Mackenzie and Dominic. According to him, they were at the Cleveland Zoo during the day and ended up together at Paul's house. Landon described Davion that night as positive and happy. He further added that Dominic and Mackenzie were cuddling on the couch. He did not believe the couple were fighting, and if they were, it was not apparent to him. The summation of how he described the mood that night was that everybody was having a good time. When asked why Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davian left Paul's house so early in the morning at approximately 5:30 hours, he said this was normal. Landon's father confirmed that he had witnessed Landon's friends leaving the Turner house in the early morning hours. Next, I inquired about Dominic and Mackenzie's driving habits. Landon began by describing Dominic as a very careful driver. In talking about Mackenzie's driving, he said it wasn't terrible. He confirmed having been a passenger in a vehicle she operated on Progress Drive and Alameda Drive and gone what he described as normal speed. He added that the maximum speed he saw her driving was 40 to 45 miles per hour on Pearl Road. Landon described never being scared when she drove. Prior to ending the interview, I asked Landon if any of the rumors circulating seemed credible to him. He said his intuition was telling him that Mackenzie passed out immediately before the crash. He elaborated by explaining that he used a pendulum and a crystal to communicate with Davion since his death. Oh my gosh. I don't believe in this woo-woo stuff, so it's hard to take this part serious. Admitting that his method of communicating with the deceased person was unreliable, he said the answers he received for his questions led him to believe Mackenzie passed out. Landon did not believe Mackenzie or Davian fell asleep prior to the crash. Landon also mentioned that he and other friends were called to Mackenzie's room while she was receiving treatment at Metro Health because she wanted to leave in order to attend Dominic's funeral. According to him, threats of self-harm were made by Mackenzie during her hospital stay. He was unaware of any threats made prior to the crash, especially on the part of Dominic. In describing Dominic and Mackenzie's relationship, Landon said they had a lot of ups and downs, but were close. He said Dominic provided everything from Mackenzie, from groceries to shopping, and that he was her escape. Landon confirmed that Mackenzie's only friend was Rosie, Rosie Graham, and that Mackenzie was hated by many people around the school community. I wonder why. Probably because she was just bad, like really, really bad. Hold on. Wow. Okay. And then October 25th, 2022, EDR analysis is 7:58. Sergeant Fox, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, Ohio State Highway Patrol Sergeant Ryan Fox emailed me his analysis of the EDR data. The the 5 page document was shared, hold on, to the APA troop and McNair, as well as Captain Zach. The following points stood out to me. On page 4, Sergeant Fox explained prior to the camera entering the intersection, a loud screeching sound can be heard from the business surveillance system camera that records the approach and crash of the Camry. This loud screeching is likely the result of the steering input of the driver and the inability of the tires and the friction of the roadway to overcome the forward motion of the vehicle. The vehicle's tires are likely turned as requested by the steering input reported, but the vehicle is continuing more in its original forward trajectory. This likely indicates manipulation of the steering wheel immediately prior to entering the intersection. Uh, this is kind of hard to read. Okay, so to explain the brake light that was illuminated mere fractions of a second prior to impact, Sergeant Fox noted, per the Toyota master technician as well as various Toyota demonstration videos, these systems, Toyota service lane, use various radar and camera systems to provide assistance with crash avoidance. Most of these features involve slowing some or all of the vehicle's tires to maintain control and or safe distance from a vehicle or object ahead of the Toyota. When these systems become active, the vehicle will not increase speed but rather decrease speed. As a result, the system will activate the rear brake lights to indicate the possible slowing of a vehicle to other motorists, even if the driver is not pressing on the brake pedal. Toyota Safety Sense P works at speeds of 7 miles per hour to 110 miles per hour, but it does not work with objects that appear in front of the vehicle without prior detection. With the availability of the Safety Sense P system and the extreme driver input for the vehicle prior to the collision, the brake light activation is likely the result of the safety systems working to avoid the impact ahead or return the vehicle to a straight orientation for the direction of travel. So basically, that's the safety system kicking in, not her trying to press the brake. Okay, so this likely indicates that although the steering wheel was manipulated left and right, no braking was applied by the operator. August 27th, 2022, 413, Cuyahoga County Clerk of Court, Criminal Division Manager Crystal Lawyer emailed me the new search warrant return form that will need to be used to return all the search warrants pertaining to this case. October 31st, 2022, at 1:30, excuse me, Detective Glover informed me that the DEA technician was unable to access data on Dominic's cell phone. This information was conveyed to both Christine Russo, an APA troop, and McNair. November 1st, 2022, interview with Christopher Hinch Martin. Christopher Martin, who goes by the nickname Hinch, came to the police station accompanied by Christine Russo. I interviewed Christopher in a private room while Christine waited in the lobby. I requested to interview Hinch to document the incident on the highway that occurred approximately 1 week before the crash on July 17th, 2022. Hinch began by explaining that he had known Dominic through his mother for the past 3 years. On the day of the incident, Hinch was at Christine Russo's house when Dominic called her, wanted to be picked up from Mackenzie's vehicle. According to Hinch, Dominic was upset with Mackenzie. The exact reason is unknown, although Hinch speculated it might have had something to do with Mackenzie wanting to visit a friend of hers. Christine asked Hinch if he could pick up Dominic because she was sick. Hinch got into his vehicle, called Dominic's cell phone, and while he was on the phone with Dominic trying to figure out where he was at, he overheard Mackenzie tell Dominic that she will crash the car. I mean, you got all these people saying things. I don't know why anybody would lie on this little girl if she wasn't crazy. Okay. So Hinge caught up to them on I-71 northbound between the Pearl Road exit and Bagley Road exit. Upon pulling up behind the vehicle Mackenzie was operating, Hinch stated he observed Mackenzie, who was in the driver's seat, strike Dominic. On the ride back from the interstate to the Russo residence, Dominic complained to Hinch about Mackenzie. Dominic reportedly said Mackenzie drives like a maniac. Hinch further explained that approximately 20 minutes after arriving at the Russo residence, Mackenzie's father showed up wanting to collect Mackenzie's belongings from Dominic's house. Hell yeah, if it would have stayed broken up. Okay. I double checked with Hinch to confirm that he overheard Mackenzie tell Dominic while they were on the highway, or what he overheard. Hinch said he heard her say that she'll crash this car right now. Hinch picked up Dominic, and when they left the area, Mackenzie was still in the vehicle. Stopped. Hold on. Let's see. Hinge picked up Dominic, and when they left the area, Mackenzie was still in her vehicle, stopped at the highway. Hinge described Dominic as being upset after the incident, but not angry. He confirmed that Dominic and Mackenzie broke up during the incident, but got back together 2 days later. Hinge speculated that Dominic perceived Mackenzie's threats as only threats. When Hinge if he was ever a passenger in a vehicle operated by Mackenzie, his no. The inflection of his voice led me to believe he had more to say about her driving. When asked to explain, he said, I've seen her drive down the street by herself, so I'm not getting in that car with her. He added that she drove 100 miles left foot. Maybe he meant lead foot, but he recalled observing her leaving the parking lot of Dunkin' Donuts one day and heard the tires squeal as she turned onto the roadway. According to him, Dominic knew Mackenzie drove crazy and told her to slow down, but it did not express fear of being in the vehicle with her. That's crazy. So just all these people coming forward to express concern over this child. Let's see, November 3rd, 2022, 8:29. Email Jamie Flanagan about Halloween. I received the following email from Jamie Flanagan. Additionally, she attached 4 videos taken from Rosie Graham's public TikTok account. The videos show Mackenzie and Rosie in unidentified hotel room dancing in Halloween costumes. The email was forwarded to APA Troop and McNair, and the videos were uploaded to the network folder. My daughter's friend shared a TikTok post with us from Rosie's account that include Kenzie. These were posted Sunday, 10/32/2022, and appeared to be taken in a hotel room. I believe the third girl is Rosie's college roommate, so I would assume the location is somewhere near university. Our family was so upset to see these. While we are deeply mourning Davian's death and trying to figure out how to endure our first real holiday without him, Kenzie is out enjoying life and most likely getting ready to go out for a college Halloween party. I believe Rosie's TikTok account is public because I was able to see or to view her other posts, and there was one on the 9th of October where Rosie is talking about someone not feeling like home anymore because they betrayed her. Assuming this is about Landon, since he finally decided to sit for a police interview and she's refusing to talk. I will attach that video as well. And thank you for all that you're doing to help me get justice for Davian. We appreciate you and your your thorough investigation. At 11:30, Detective Glover and I filed the search warrants and the returns with the Cuyahoga County Clerk of Courts. Copies of the filed returns are enclosed in the case jacket. And then at 9:24, Jamie Flanagan emailed me a video and 3 screenshots of comments made at Rosie Graham's public TikTok account, or to it. The comments were about Rosie Graham and Mackenzie's Halloween costumes, according to an unidentified TikTok user whose screen name is Your Grand Pass. What? Your grandpa's nipple. The girl on the left, Mackenzie, is a drink. It's a juice mixed in with random alcohols and random drugs, usually Zaza. It's usually served in a white cup too. Then the girl on the right, Rosie Graham is Zaza, aka weed. LOL. Oh, they messed it all up here. Their screenshots have been uploaded to the SPD network. So Drink and Zaza, LOL for anyone confused. Girl on the left, that's what she's basically explained. Let me go ahead and stop this here. But this is November 4th, and that's when she's gonna be served. But I'll come back to this. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.